You've met Commander Cullen, leader of the Inquisition's forces.
It was only for a moment on the field. I'm pleased you survived.
This is Lady Josephine Montilyet, our ambassador and chief diplomat.
I've heard much. It's a pleasure to meet you at last.
And of course, you know Sister Liliana.
My position here involves a degree of...
She is our spy master.
Yes, tactfully put, Cassandra.
Cassandra tells me you have a plan.
I mentioned that your mark needs more power to close the breach for good.
Which means we must approach the rebel mages for help.
And I still disagree. The Templars could serve just as well.
We need power, Commander. Enough magic poured into that mark.
Might destroy us all. Templars could suppress the breach, weaken it, so...
Pure speculation.
I was a Templar. I know what they're capable of.
Unfortunately, neither group will even speak to us yet. The Chantry has denounced the Inquisition, and you specifically.
They still think I'm guilty.
That is not the entirety of it any longer. Some are calling you the Herald of Andraste, and that frightens the Chantry. The remaining clerics have declared it blasphemy, and we, heretics, for harboring you.
Chancellor Roderick's doing, no doubt.
It limits our options. Approaching the mages or Templars for help is currently out of the question.
Just how am I the Herald of Andraste?
People saw what you did at the temple, how you stopped the breach from growing. They have also heard about the woman seen in the rift when we first found you. They believe that was Andraste.
Even if we tried to stop that view from spreading...
Which we have not.
The point is, everyone is talking about you.
It's quite the title, isn't it? How do you feel about that?
I'm no herald of anything, particularly not Andraste.
I'm sure the Chantry would agree.
People are desperate for a sign of hope. For some, you're that sign. And to others, a symbol of everything that's gone wrong.
Will the Chantry attack us?
With what? They have only words at their disposal.
And yet, they may bury us with them. There is something you can do. A Chantry cleric by the name of Mother Giselle has asked to speak to you. She is not far, and knows those involved far better than I. Her assistance could be invaluable.
She's asked for me. You don't think that could be an ambush?
I doubt it. From what I know of her, she's a kind soul, and not the sort to involve herself in violence. You will find Mother Giselle tending to the wounded in the hinterlands near Redcliffe.
Look for other opportunities to expand the Inquisition's influence while you're there.
We need agents to extend our reach beyond this valley, and you're better suited than anyone to recruit them.
In the meantime, let's think of other options. I won't leave this all to the Herald.
The Inquisition cannot remain, Ambassador, if you can't prove it was founded on Justinia's orders.
This is an inopportune time, Marquis. More of the faithful flock here each day. But allow me to introduce you to the brave soul who risked his life to slow the magic of the breach. Sir Trevelyan, may I present the Marquis Trevelyan, one of Divine Justinia's greatest supporters.
And the rightful owner of Haven. House Trevelyan lent Justinia these lands for pilgrimage. This Inquisition is not a beneficiary of this arrangement.
This is the first I've heard of Haven having an owner outside the Chantry.
My wife, Lady Machin of Denerim, has claimed to Haven by ancient treaty with the monarchs of Ferelden. We were honored to lend its use to Divine Justinia. She was a woman of supreme merit. I will not let an upstart order remain on her holy grounds.
Demons are pouring from the sky, and you're worried about land claims.
Haven is the Durelion's rightful property.
Has Empress Selene officially acknowledged your possession of Haven? I was unaware Her Imperial Majesty had conferred with the King of Ferelden on this matter.
The Empress has not yet had the opportunity to do so.
We face a dark time, Your Grace. Divine Justinia would not want her passing to divide us. She would, in fact, trust us to forge new alliances to the benefit of all, no matter how strange they might seem.
I'll think on it, Lady Montilyet. The Inquisition might stay in the meanwhile.
Do the Trevelyans actually have a claim on this place?
His Grace's position is not so strong as he presents it. Despite their Ferelden relations, the Trevelyans are our legion. If the Marquis wishes to claim Haven, Empress Selene must negotiate with the Ferelden on his behalf. Her current concerns are a bit larger than minor property disputes.
I apologize for the intrusion. I didn't realize you were meeting with the Marquis.
You did little harm. In truth, the debate was most beneficial as practice for those to come.
You expect more people in Haven?
Undoubtedly. And each visitor will spread the story of the Inquisition after they depart. An ambassador should ensure the tale is as complimentary as possible.
May I ask what brought you to work for the Inquisition?
Sister Leliana approached me. We've been acquainted for quite some time. For better or worse, being the Inquisition's diplomat has become as interesting as she promised.
What sort of dealings have you had with nobility?
For some years, I was the royally appointed court ambassador from Antiva to Orlais. The nobility of Thedas is a rather singular sphere. Those I'm not acquainted with, I know through reputation.
The Inquisition is lucky to have you as an advocate, Lady Montilyet.
Thank you. Let us hope so. Thedas's politics have become agitated as of late. I hope to guide us down smoother paths. But please excuse me. I've much work to do before the day is done.
What exactly does your job entail?
I meet with ambassadors from various factions and countries and cement alliances with them. We are a young cause. Diplomacy is essential to our credibility.
Then you speak for the Inquisition with these nobles?
I do. Someone must foster goodwill on our behalf, as well as prevent controversy as news of us spreads.
How heavily are our actions scrutinized?
Make no mistake, every noble house, every throne is waiting to see what the Inquisition does next. Many are willing to pledge support, if offers are made in just the right fashion. I intend to see that they are.
Tell me how you came to work for the Inquisition again.
I'd been considering leaving my post in Antiva for a new challenge when Leliana recruited me. There's such unrest in Thedas, and the Inquisition seems a promising method to stop it. It's to everyone's benefit if we prevent the Mage-Templar conflict from spreading further.
So was it the prospect of stability that drew you here?
The full impact of the Mage Rebellion has yet to be felt, and that was before the death of the Divine. The violence must be curbed before we see it turn to full-scale war.
Bringing the Mage-Templar conflict to a head could be the only way to resolve it.
Surely we can find a solution that doesn't leave all of Thedas in ruins.
How do you and Leliana know each other?
We moved through similar circles in Orlais. I believe we actually met in Val Royeaux. Leliana was quite an accomplished player of the game by then.
What exactly do you mean when you say the game?
Forgive me. The game refers to the slow duels of influence among the noble and powerful of Orlais. It's a rather light-hearted name for the matter, but our legions are fond of playful touches.
What business are the Montilyets in exactly?
We began as merchants. My ancestors founded the first trade routes to Reaver. We once sent entire fleets across the Waking Sea.
But not anymore.
No. These days, our vessels are a touch more modest.
I'd swear our families have met before.
Perhaps. Everyone of distinction in the Free Marches attends Lady Trevelyan's summer balls.
Great Aunt Lucille always did love a party.
I don't recall seeing you at any of them.
The food was peppered with too many attempts at matchmaking for my tastes.
A common peril among nobility, no matter where one goes.
What did you do before coming here?
I had the great honor of serving Antiva's crown as ambassador to Orlais. I'm also first in line to become the head of House Montilyet, though my siblings attend to our mercantile affairs.
How strong are your past loyalties?
I would never have given up my position if I did not intend to fully commit to the Inquisition. We cannot fall back on borders. Antiva is as threatened as any country by the rebellions. If anything, the alliances I forged there may help our current cause.
Do you think the Inquisition will continue after we seal the breach?
If we prove ourselves by healing the breach, people may turn to us for other things. Protection, counsel, justice. The Inquisition offered these once to those in need.
Tell me, do you believe I was saved by Andraste at the Temple of Sacred Ashes?
I should much like to believe so, Your Worship. The miracles Andraste performed were so long ago, they're difficult to picture. If it were truly her and the Fate who saved you... Well, in any case, many already believe you walk in the Maker's light. It's good you've returned. We heard of your encounter.
You heard?
My agents in a city sent word ahead, of course.
It's a shame the Templars have abandoned their senses, as well as the capital.
At least we know the Chantry is no longer a threat to us.
Yes, and we have the opening we need to approach the Templars and the mages.
Do we? Lord Seeker Lucius is not the man I remember.
True, he has taken the orders somewhere, but to do what? My reports have been very odd.
We must look into it. I'm certain not everyone in the Order will support the Lord Seeker.
Or the Herald could simply go to meet the mages in Redcliffe instead.
You think the Mage Rebellion is more united? It could be 10 times worse.
Or you could stop bickering and make a decision.
I agree.
We shouldn't discount Redcliffe. The mages may be worth the risk.
They are powerful, Ambassador, but more desperate than you realize.
After the Divine's death, they're probably scrambling for allies.
If some among the rebel mages were responsible for what happened at the Conclave...
The same could be said about the Templars.
True enough. Right now, I'm not certain we have enough influence to approach the Order safely.
Then the Inquisition needs agents in more places. That's something you can help with.
In the meantime, we should consider other options. Lord Trevelyan, may I have a moment?
Yes, Ambassador?
I'd like to discuss your parents.
A little sudden, but it's time someone made an honest man of me.
What? Very amusing. This is serious. I'd like to dispatch a courier asking the bands of House Trevelyan to align themselves with us. What are your thoughts? Should we approach your family for their formal support of the Inquisition?
If that's what you want, I'll send a letter to my family. They'll respect the request if it comes from me.
Wonderful. That will save time. Valroyo has noted your lineage. It gives the Inquisition some legitimacy, although not so much as we'd hoped.
Why not?
You are from Ostwick. Orlesian nobles consider the Free Marches somewhat... quaint.
The blood of our nobility is just as old as theirs, if not older.
Orlais lives by its own standards, Herald. I meant no offense to the virtue of your family. Speaking of which, I should thank you for your patience with the simple quarters. The accommodations in Haven are surely rough for someone of your birth.
This can't be what you're accustomed to, Ambassador.
One adjusts. I stay busy. It helps take my mind from our surroundings. And the cold. And the wildlife. And the lack of civilization for miles around. Why anyone lived here before we found Andraste's ashes, I cannot imagine.
Don't worry about me. Haven's more than livable.
Really? If that is how you feel, I'm pleased to hear it. Until next time, my lord.
It's not a matter for debate. There will be abominations among the mages, and we must be prepared.
If we rescind the offer of an alliance, it makes the Inquisition appear incompetent at best, tyrannical at worst.
What were you thinking, turning mages loose with no oversight? The veil is torn open.
We need them to close the breach. It's not going to work if we make enemies of them.
I know we need them for the breach, but they could do as much damage as the demons themselves.
Enough arguing. None of us were there. We cannot afford to second-guess our people. The sole point of the Herald's mission was to gain the mage's aid, and that was accomplished.
The voice of pragmatism speaks. And here I was, just starting to enjoy the circular arguments.
Closing the breach is all that matters.
Closing the breach will require a lot of magic, and that means lyrium. I have contacts who can help.
Contacts meaning smugglers? Send them word. We need every advantage.
We have legitimate lyrium supply lines already.
And they don't need to hear of this.
Keep it under the table, and I'll do what I can to quiet rumors.
We should look into the things you saw in this dark future. The assassination of Empress Celine. A demon army.
Sounds like something a Tevinter cult might do. Orlais falls, the Imperium rises. Chaos for everyone.
One battle at a time. It's going to take time to organize our troops and the mage recruits. Let's take this to the war room. Join us. None of this means anything without your mark, after all.
Of course.
Meet us there when you're ready.
I'll take my leave. Good day.
Who was she, Ambassador?
A merchant. I thought we should reach out to the dwarves to secure lyrium for the Inquisition's mages. According to Lady Corpin, it raised the ire of the Chantry.
Oh.
Access to lyrium makes us rather more formidable than anticipated. We're becoming a challenge. Sadly, the remaining Grand Clerics appear to be consolidating the Chantry's power, instead of comforting the masses.
Mage circles started falling years ago. The Chantry was troubled even before the Divine's murder.
Yet many people continue to bear it great love. We will not benefit from its decline. Little but the Chantry ties Orlais, Nevarra, Ferelden, Antiva, and even Rivain to a common cause.
Has the Chantry truly promoted such peace?
Andraste's chant is familiar across kingdoms, a source of many shared customs. That is the crucial point. Common ground is the start of all negotiations.
I suppose a shared faith can be useful when talking with strangers.
Precisely. And these similar interests are merely where we begin. We must learn to think beyond our own wants, to secure peace in Thedas.
How did someone so lovely and selfless go into Orlesian politics, Lady Montilyet?
Well, that is, really, you give me too much credit. While you're here, I do have a question. The remaining Grand Clerics sent a missive inquiring about the events at the Temple of Sacred Ashes. They demand to know whether the Inquisition officially claims that Andraste saved you from the breach. If it were up to you, how would you reply?
Will my answer change your reply to the Chantry?
If Leliana, Cassandra Cullen, and I could agree on our official stance, I could answer that. We should decide soon. The revered mothers don't seem to know what to make of you.
I don't know if a miracle from Andraste saved me any more than they do.
Yet as rumors your Andraste's herald grow, the Grand Clerics may not believe such a humble reply. A difficult situation, and I thank you for your answer. A good day to you.
They arrive daily from every settlement in the region. Skyhold is becoming a pilgrimage. If word has reached these people, it will have reached the Elder One. We have the walls and numbers to put up a fight here, but this threat is far beyond the war we anticipated. But we now know what allowed you to stand against Corypheus, what drew him to you.
Why should I care why he's after me? He's a monster. Mad.
You should care because he sees in you what we all see, and it has nothing to do with the mark on your hand. Your decisions let us heal the sky. Your determination brought us out of Haven. You are the creature's rival because of what you did. And we know it. All of us. The Inquisition requires a leader. The one who has already been leading it. You.
It's unanimous. You all have that much confidence in me.
All of these people have their lives because of you. They will follow.
That wasn't the question.
I will not lie. Handing this power to anyone is troubling. But I have to believe this is meant to be. There would be no Inquisition without you. How it will serve, how you lead, that must be yours to decide.
Corypheus will never let me live in peace. He made that clear. He intends to be a god, to rule over us all. Corypheus must be stopped.
Wherever you lead us. Have our people been told?
They have. And soon, the world.
Commander, will they follow?
Inquisition, will you follow? Will you fight? Will we triumph? Your leader, your herald, your Inquisitor!
Inquisitor, I was just inspecting our new headquarters. Foundation cracks, nesting animals, and miles from any centers of civilization. The staff must make it presentable if we're to receive any visitors of distinction.
Our allies shouldn't expect luxuries when they sign on to fight the first Darkspawn.
There is a difference between luxury and a building with no holes in the walls. The mages are showing great trust in you. They need to feel safe here.
Do you not feel safe here?
I've had difficulty forgetting Corypheus's attack on Haven. Do you know who first leapt to arms? Our workers. They were so proud of our cause. Corypheus simply cut them down. So much screaming after that first blast of fire. So many people turned to ash.
Corypheus will pay when I face him again.
I dearly hope that happens soon. Well, before I return to my duties, allow me to congratulate you on your appointment as Inquisitor, my lord. I will now bring diplomatic issues to your attention, and I'm more than happy to help with any situations that arise.
I'm loath to part from such pleasant company. Would you care to walk the castle with me?
Oh, well, a tour then? Let me fetch the steward.
That isn't precisely what I was hoping for.
Well, do let me know if you change your mind. Now I must find someone to prepare the guest quarters. Inquisitor, is it true? Is the mark on your hand magic cast by Corypheus?
Corypheus claimed it's a spell gone wrong.
I wanted to think it was a blessing. A sign the Maker was returning to his creation. How credulous of me.
I thought the same thing about the anchor, Josephine.
I suppose neither of us could have known what your mark was until now. Does it hurt? The anchor, that is.
It looks strange, but it hasn't done me harm.
If it did come from Corypheus, that's a small mercy. And what else did Lady Forsythia say?
That she'd rather drown herself than help the Inquisition.
Anything else?
She said she'd have us flogged alive if we allied with her brother.
That does sound like her.
Cheer up, Josie. We at least have her attention.
You always do find the brighter side of things. We are in the midst of cementing an alliance with Lady Forsythia of Navarra, your worship. It's become a somewhat delicate task.
Can I do anything to help negotiations?
Thank you, but I believe I have matters in hand. I dissuaded her from sending soldiers when she learned we'd struck an accord with a brother she's feuding with. Lady Forsythia simply employs a colorful manner of speech.
Dealing with so many demanding, strong-willed people can't be easy.
It's no less intense than my days at court, Inquisitor, I assure you. But I confess I do miss my staff from the embassy in Antiva. It was always useful to discuss the day's visitors with them.
I have time, if you'd like to review things with me.
I wouldn't wish to impose.
If it were imposing, I wouldn't have offered.
Well, I admit there are a few potential alliances it would be good to discuss. Right on the parlor floor, in front of everyone at the soiree. Who does such a thing in front of their guests?
The Duke of Kellington, apparently.
And then there's Cole's lurking. It frightens our guests half to death. Lord Jennar still won't respond to our letters. And Sarah, can she not find a single overshirt without mustard stains on it? Then there's Dorian. The man refuses to take anything seriously unless it suits its whim. Not to mention... Oh goodness. Have we been here an hour already?
It went by so quickly I didn't even notice.
You're far too polite. I didn't intend to go on for so long. You must think me quite the gossip.
Spending time with such an engaging woman is never unpleasant, Lady Montilyet.
Goodness. I'm glad I haven't wasted your day. Well, I've taken up quite enough of your time already. Until next time, your worship. Inquisitor, I must speak with you.
What is it?
I must explain something first about the Montilyet's fortunes.
I remember you said your family had been forbidden from trading in Orlais.
It's devastated our finances. The Montilyets have, in fact, been in debt for over 100 years.
I had no idea your family's situation was so precarious.
Hardly anyone outside the family does. For generations, we've done everything to keep creditors at bay. Sold our lands to stave off interest. It is infuriating to see my family still reduced to this. I'm to become head of our house. If I sell any more of our land, my family will become destitute. That cannot be my legacy to them.
Most people worry about their next meal. Never mind an estate.
I'm not blind, but I worry for my family. My foolish sister Yvette with her daydreams. My brothers trying to rebuild our fleet with their own hands. Is it wrong to hope they never know hardship?
Is there anything I can do?
I'd almost solved our problems. For a while. I negotiated a chance to reinstate the Montilyets as landed traders in Orlais. We could rebuild with that. But when I dispatched paperwork to Val Royeaux... I've just learned my carriers were murdered. And the documents restoring my family's trading status destroyed.
Who hates the Montilyets enough to do that?
Leliana made inquiries that bore success. Comte Boisvert, a nobleman in Val Royeaux, claims to know who killed my messengers. He has a request that you come when I meet him, so he's seen publicly conferring with you.
What will being seen with me gain the Comte?
The Comte will drop hints at parties he's to meet with an important visitor. Allies and rivals will take note. Once he's met you, there will be speculation. The Comte will subtly spin reports to his advantage. He will use us. But if he knows who killed my people, I ask that we indulge him.
If that's what it takes to get to the bottom of this, I'll meet this Comte with you.
Thank you, Inquisitor. It means... you are too kind. I must know who killed my couriers just to harm my family.
You know where this noble wanted to meet us?
I do. The Comte Boisvert invited us to his mansion, not far from here. I pray he clears up the deaths of my messengers, as promised.
Welcome, my friend.
Thank you for seeing us, Comte Boisvert.
The honor is mine. Please, sit. It's an honor to assist two such distinguished guests.
Please, tell us what you know.
Straight to business, then. After the murder of Lady Montilyet's people, I don't suppose I can blame you. Have you heard of the House of Repose?
The Assassin's League?
My contacts obtained a copy of a document in the archives. Contract for life.
The House of Repose is hereby sworn to eliminate anyone attempting to overturn the Montilyet's trading exile in Orlais.
They're not just after your messengers, Josephine. They'll try for you, too.
I am afraid so, yes.
The contract was signed by a noble family. The Du Paraquets.
But the Du Paraquets died out as a noble line over 60 years ago.
Indeed. But the contract was signed 109 years ago.
How can a family try to kill you after they died out?
The Du Paraquets were our rivals. They drove the Montilyets from Val Royal. This contract was drawn up over 100 years ago, but it wasn't invoked until I tried to overturn my family's exile.
Unpleasant though it may be, the House of Repose is merely fulfilling its contractual duties.
If the people who wanted your family dead are gone, why are the assassins still after you?
A contract is a contract, Inquisitor. Orlesian businesses live and die by their reputations. The entire guild's welfare would be endangered if an agreement was tossed aside on a whim of time or fate.
She's quite right, Your Worship. The House of Repose is doing what it feels necessary, by its standards.
So we destroy this House of Repose before assassins appear at Skyhold's doorstep.
There may be a less confrontational way to end this. The Du Paraquets still have descendants under the common branch. If we elevate them to nobility, a Du Paraquet could annul the contract on my life.
That will take time, Lady Montilyet. Time during which the House of Repose will be obliged to hunt you.
Will they now? You are exceedingly well informed. You're not to have said you'd heard rumors, at best.
A bit of subterfuge. This contract on your life is an ugly business. One the House of Repose deeply regrets. But this is Orlais. Even an assassin's word is his bond.
Does Comte Boisvert actually exist?
Absolutely. The Comte's offer to reveal the killers of Lady Montilyet's messengers was genuine. So was his information somehow. An end to be tied up later.
The House of Repose has some nerve sending a killer to greet us.
Hardly anyone in the League isn't trained for this, Inquisitor. The contract on Lady Montilyet's life is so unusual, we felt the courtesy of an explanation was in order.
It is appreciated, monsieur.
Your idea to seek out the Du Paraquet to revoke our orders is an interesting one. I wish you luck. I did not come to shed blood today, Inquisitor. Only to speak. Might I pass?
Why warn us about your contract and let us go?
In Orlais, it is only decent to inform those involved in a contract when extraordinary circumstances conspire.
And the guild's reputation would suffer if you ignored the contract. I quite understand.
Thank you, my lady. May we conclude with my departure?
Go, then.
Good day, Your Worship. My lady, I pray we never meet again.
Well, I didn't think our meeting would end like this.
We'll deal with these assassins.
I have some thoughts. Let's discuss them back at Skyhold. I'll feel safer with the castle's walls around me. I'm so sorry, Inquisitor. I never thought my family's trading status would trap us in an assassin's plot.
Between our soldiers and spies, Skyhold's safer than anywhere else in Thedas.
Yet the problem persists. I've tracked down the last du Paraquets. If they become gentry, they can annul the contract on my life. We'll require a noble from Val Royeaux to sponsor them, a judge to provide documents, a minister to ratify them.
It's so like you to take the longest course of action, even when your life is at stake.
I assume you already know everything about this mess.
There is a faster way, Josephine. The original contract on your life is in the vaults of the House of Repose. If my agents infiltrate it and destroy the original, the assassin will have no obligation to chase you.
Leliana, please. I want no more bloodshed over a personal affair.
Don't be so stubborn, Josie. How long will it take you to gather these favors in Val Royeaux?
Give me some time to think this over.
I'll post a watch on our ambassador in case the House of Repose visits.
I appreciate it, but I still believe elevating the du Paraquets will solve this. First, we need to perform some favors in Val Royeaux. I'd be happy to discuss where we could begin.
How exactly does one turn farmers into members of the upper classes?
There are procedures for granting honored citizens of the Empire the title of Lord or Lady. Very long procedures. And so much paperwork. I've called in a substantial number of favors just to cut through half of it.
Why did the du Paraquets hate the Montilyet so much they set up a permanent assassination watch?
A Montilyet and a du Paraquet fell in love. A young couple, pledged elsewhere, attempted to elope. The whole thing ended so violently, it's a wonder any survived. It's fortunate the du Paraquets' descendants hold no grudges.
What if the du Paraquets refuse to aid you?
I've already contacted the du Paraquets, Inquisitor. They're ready to help us. It will be a long road, but a lordship is a chance to restore a proud lineage to their heirs. Besides, I've promised them a heavy bag of coin once this is over.
Are you sure the House of Repose will forget this assassin contract on a farmer's signature?
It's perfectly legal. In Val Royeaux's noble circles, a written word is a bond. Besides, the guild would never risk being so unspeakably crass.
These assassins are afraid of being seen as impolite.
Breaking one's public oath or bond implies a certain poverty in Orlais. A common merchant may lack the resources or manners to fulfill a debt, but among the guilds, it would be shameful.
You said I'd have to do some favors in Val Royeaux if we want to make the du Paraquets lords.
The Countess Dion is our first step. Her lover, a mage from the White Spire, is missing. Bring her news of him and she'll be very amenable to sponsoring the du Paraquets as lords.
Inquisitor.
Who cares?
What
The
an
Chantry
unexpected
declared them
pleasure.
heathens. An
You must have
attack
had
was
a
just
long
matter
journey
of
to
time.
the city.
The most
Might there be any news from this house?
Until a divine says
Here's a letter from Ellerly.
I intend to
He's safe with his family in the Dales.
They need
Oh,
our help.
my Ellerly. Oh, bless you. The Dions will sponsor the du Paraquets as a family deserving of a noble title, Inquisitor. You have my word. Now please, forgive my hastiness, but I must read Ellerly's words. Make her keep you.
Inquisitor,
What happened here?
the House of Repose decided to pay a visit. The guards arrived in time, but I should have guessed the assassins would infiltrate the servants.
Are you sure they didn't hurt you?
They only frightened me. It was all so sudden. Leliana assigned people to shadow me. They appear to have saved my life. I owe you everything, Sergeant.
Only my duty, Ambassador. I'll talk with the spy master about these murderous louts. She'll find how they got in.
We must persuade Minister Belize to ratify the papers. She's in charge of these matters of rank. The minister will be at a small fete thrown by the Marquis Wiscott. I'll get you an invitation.
Thank you for seeing me in private, Minister Belize.
I chastise you for taking me from the party, Inquisitor, but the Marquis throws such dull affairs. It's hardly worth it. I assume you wish to discuss your petition to elevate these du Paraquets to a minor lordship. Tell me, why should I allow you to pollute the Orlesian nobility any further than it's already been muddled?
Surely even a minister could do worse than have the Inquisition in her debt.
I am a well-positioned woman. I require something more concrete than vague promises of future gifts. And do not attempt to charm me. I am far too old to tolerate it. What can you possibly provide that will make your petition worth my effort?
Perhaps the services of some of the best trained soldiers in Orlais?
Normally, I wouldn't be interested, but I would enjoy not having to beg Gaspard for Chevalier. For a man who loathes the game, he has an extraordinarily sharp memory for favors. Very well, Inquisitor. Should you fulfill this bargain, I shall raise the du Paraquets into lordship.
Must return to Valrayo to see that everything is in order. Please join me when you can. I received a letter from the House of Repose, Your Worship. They acknowledge their contract is null and void. There is no longer a price on my life.
I'm glad you don't have to live your life looking over your shoulder anymore.
I regret we were forced to deal with them, that you were endangered by my part in the game. Did I ever mention I used to be a bard?
You were a singer.
Bards entertain the Orlesian court. They sing, play music, make charming conversation, and spy. Many young nobles put on a mask and practice playing the game in such a fashion.
What made you interested in becoming a bard?
I was attending a university in Valroyo when I learned about bards. There was such an air of romance about them. Stories of secrets, trysts, and fascinating people. A group of us, young gentry from Antiva, decided this exciting life was for us.
You seem a bit steady for such an outgoing lifestyle.
The life of an entertainer didn't suit me at all. During one particular intrigue, I encountered a bard sent to kill my patron. We fought. Or perhaps scrapped is the better word. Both of us terrified. We were at the top of a steep flight of stairs. The other bard drew a knife, and I pushed him away from me. You can imagine the result.
You've drawn a clear enough picture.
But it was such a waste, Inquisitor. When I took off his mask, I knew him. We'd attended parties together. If I'd stopped to reason, if I'd used my voice instead of scuffling like a common thug, I'll always wonder who that young man would have grown into.
He seemed willing enough to murder you for the game.
Perhaps. I feel I'm the last to judge whether or not he would have actually used the blade. In all the commotion... forgive me, I don't believe I ever thanked you for helping me with this.
I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Such a gracious woman deserves nothing less.
Such talk. I'm quite overcome.
Should I stop?
Oh, no. I mean, yes. I meant, no, I don't... Well, if you meant to draw a blush to my cheeks, you've completely succeeded. Let's return to Skyhold before anyone notices. Leliana wished to speak with you, Inquisitor. It seemed rather urgent.
Inquisitor, may I have a word? I notice you've paid Lady Montilyet quite a number of compliments.
What does that have to do with you?
An entanglement with our ambassador seems most unwise. I asked Josephine to join the Inquisition because we needed a diplomat, not so she could be toyed with.
I enjoy being with Josephine. I'm not trying to break her heart.
Then I would be more cautious. Josephine's no stranger to courtly intrigue. But love? There she's an innocent. She has no idea you are truly attracted to her. If indeed you are.
Yes, I'm very attracted to Josephine.
Is that so? Whatever is between you, I ask that you treat her with kindness. For her sake, as well as yours.
Josephine and I aren't children.
I'm aware how little my opinion counts in matters of the heart. I will not trouble you any further, but I do watch over my friends. Good day, your worship.
Well, Leliana just gave me quite the speech.
What about?
About us.
Oh, she is impossible. Might we discuss this somewhere more private? Leliana said I was an innocent in love?
More or less.
Of all the... I'm quite capable of understanding our association. I've never thought your intentions were overly romantic, Inquisitor. I assure you.
Perhaps I should have composed a ballad then. Or sent roses.
What? You mean you do? We've only just... I didn't wish to presume you harbored any tender feelings for me.
But I'm attracted to you. Quite, in fact.
But we haven't even known each other a few short months. How can you declare this liking for me after such a brief time together?
I don't know why I can't stop thinking about you, Josephine. I only know that I do.
I would not object to a closer relationship between us, my lord. If that sounds agreeable to you.
Oh, you have no idea how happy I am to hear that.
Well, then. How are you, my lord?
I'm courting the most beautiful woman in the entire castle. That helps a great deal.
Oh my, you flatter me much too much.
How far do your roots go back to Orlais?
Very far. The Montilyets used to have vast holdings in Val Royeaux itself. I wish I could have seen them, especially the ones bearing the family crest. The original crest design was abandoned when we were exiled from the city. I've always wanted to find a copy.
Where were you raised, Josephine?
I was born in Antiva City, but when I turned 15, Mother declared I'd attend finishing school in Val Royeaux. But I bawled into her skirts the day I had to leave.
You must have missed her terribly.
I did. And she was most unsympathetic to my wailing. But my mother only wanted the best for me. Living in Orlais was an education in itself.
What did you learn at this finishing school in Val Royeaux?
Among other things, mathematics, rhetoric, poetry, history, logic, and a great deal of etiquette. I still remember Madame Beventir's switch on my knuckles when I forgot the basic tenets of Nevaran dining customs. For a dowager approaching her 80th year, she had quite the arm.
How did the younger you like Val Royeaux when you arrived?
Have you ever stepped into a new city and felt the buildings couldn't possibly be real? That was Val Royeaux to me. So beautifully foreign, I gaped at its spires for months.
Does Antiva City have nothing that compares to Val Royeaux?
Antiva City is a jewel among the capitals. But I did not appreciate that before I traveled. There are multitudes of places I'd like to see. Seheran, the Anderfelds, whatever lies past the Amaranthine Ocean.
Tell me about the Montilyets.
Well, my parents are alive and in good health. They live in our estate in Antiva City. Of my 4 siblings, most attend to the running of the family vineyards. That reminds me, I must ask someone to make sure Yvette attends the spring reception at the palace. My youngest sister has no head for social engagements.
Why are you overseeing your siblings' social lives?
It's Antivan custom. After a certain age, the heir apparent runs the family's estate to prove they're worthy of succession. If you're unfit for the task, the heads of the house, usually one's parents, may decree a new heir.
What do these Antivan heads of the household do if they don't run it?
They work and provide guidance. I've taken advice from my parents. Well, mostly mother. Father's more of an artist. It's rather gauche, but we never can dissuade him from running his own salons. Between him and my siblings, mother's looking forward to my taking over the estate.
Between that and the Inquisition, when do you ever rest?
Delegation helps a great deal. But managing the estate is my duty. As much work as it is, I will not shirk it.
Is running your family's estate that important to you?
I'm responsible for their welfare. A Montilyet never shuns their familial duty. Taxing as those duties can sometimes be.
I think you're too finicky to give those responsibilities to the rest of your family.
You don't know them. But Lorien in charge, or Antoine, or Yvette? No, truly. It must be me.
You haven't really gone into detail about how you know Leliana.
We met... let me think. We met the last few years of my schooling, but we became friends after I became ambassador to Olay. It seems terrifyingly long ago now.
How exactly did you and Leliana reconnect in the Inquisition?
I discovered my family had been overcharging a merchant we traded with for months. Our name carries a great deal of trust in Antiva. I spent weeks arranging a string of favors as suitable recompense. Apparently satisfied, the merchant extended me an invitation to her estate. Leliana greeted me in place of the merchant.
I assume there was more to it than a strange way to say hello.
It was a test of sorts. Leliana claimed she needed someone of painful integrity for the Inquisition. I accepted, once she finally explained what it was.
Do you remain close?
Yes, but she's grown so much more distant than the outgoing woman I met in Val Royeaux. Leliana used to wander the Orlesian courts, singing the sweetest songs, charming the greatest wits. Now she collects secrets and takes risks that would make empires tremble. I worry, but she will not hear it.
Does Leliana confide in you?
She enjoys revisiting our more disastrous adventures. Leliana used to concoct the most ridiculous plans. Run if you ever see her with a twine ball, a measuring stick, and a handkerchief.
Who rules Antiva?
Officially, the Principality of Antiva is governed by His Majesty King Fugelno II. In reality, Antiva's merchant princes rule the country in everything but name. Quite loudly, I might add.
What sort of dealings did you have with these merchant families?
As ambassador, I attended Privy Council meetings in a mediatory capacity. May I just say, one has never heard an argument until they've sat in on 15 princes howling down each other's tariff suggestions.
That sounds more like a mob than a meeting.
It's all a part of life in Antiva. Our traditions value passion and romance. A certain exuberance of style.
Are you positive you're Antivan?
I can be most exuberant when it's called for. Just at the right moments, and in a proper fashion. Might we speak of something else?
What's the land like in Antiva?
The settled areas are quite lush. The vineyards run as far as the eye can see in some places. Antiva City, however, perches right up against the Rialto Bay. That's what I miss most. The sea crashing against the maze of the docks.
I have difficulty seeing you wandering around a trading port.
Everyone in Antiva City spends time by the ships, my lord. The finest restaurants and poets all make their habitation by the sea. The waterfront's never still. Lanterns are lit along the promenade, no matter what the weather. Oh, and the theater. If we're ever in Antiva City, I must take you there one day.
I suppose you could get us a pair of secluded seats, far from prying eyes.
You'll keep your mind on the show, I should hope. At least until the curtain falls. Why, what's this?
You said you wanted to see your original family crest? I found one for you.
I'm astonished. I'd given up hope that any example of the early family crest still existed. It even has our first motto, back from when we had a trading fleet to speak of. From sea to shore, we tame the waves.
Anything to see you smile.
You've certainly succeeded. Thank you.
Why was Leliana so set against us being together, Josephine?
Think nothing of it. She'd disapprove of anyone I chose to keep serious company with. Back in Valroyo, Leliana was practically my older sister.
So you two never had a romantic history together?
A romantic... You did hear me say Leliana was like a sister to me. She's a most dear friend, and nothing more.
Has our being together set any tongues wagging?
Undoubtedly. Rumor already gave you a dozen suitors the moment you took your title.
Who are these rumors pairing me with?
I can only speak to what was whispered in several courts.
Josephine.
To begin with, Cassandra, Leliana, Colin, Dorian, Mother Giselle, Enchanter Fiona, Chancellor Roderick, 3 Rs, 2 Counts, and some man named Philip. Honestly, I don't think he even exists.
I wanted to spend some time with just you and me, Josephine.
Why, that sounds lovely.
Adamant Fortress has stood against the Darkspawn since the time of the Second Blight.
Fortunately for us, that means it was built before the age of modern siege equipment. A good trebuchet will do major damage to those ancient walls. And thanks to our Lady Ambassador...
Lady Cyril of Jadar was pleased to lend the Inquisition her sappers. They've already delivered the trebuchets.
That is the good news.
If the fortress is vulnerable, let's just pound it to rubble.
Even with the trebuchet, that would take months. That gives Erimond more than enough time to summon his demon army.
The Inquisition forces can breach the gate, but if the Wardens already have their demons...
I found records of Adamant's construction. There are choke points we can use to limit the field of battle.
That's good. We may not be able to defeat them outright. But if we cut off reinforcements, we can carve you a path to Warden Commander Clarel.
It sounds like our best option.
It'll be hard fought, no way around it. But we'll get that gate open.
It's also possible that some Wardens may be sympathetic to our cause.
The warriors may be willing to listen to reason, though I doubt they will turn against Clarel directly. The mages, however, are slaves to Corypheus. They will fight to the death.
We've built the siege engines and readied our forces, Inquisitor. Give the word, and we march on Adamant.
There you are. I've been looking all over for you. I've just received the most terrible news.
What is it?
I'm engaged.
When did this happen?
For the past year, my mother and father have searched Antiva for a match for me. They had no idea you and I had grown so close. Today, I received a letter declaring they've betrothed me to Lord Adorno Cielo Tranto of Antiva. I must deal with this. But until then, we cannot be seen in a compromising situation. I'm so sorry.
Are you saying we should act like nothing has happened between us?
No, not at all. But it is not right that we carry on while I am betrothed. I must break off the match first.
Have you and this Antivan lord ever even met?
No. Perhaps, maybe at a cotillion some years ago. Oh, this is not what I wanted to happen. I barely remember Lord Otranto. I must see to this. And to my other duties. If I can keep my mind on them today at all. Inquisitor, I'm afraid untangling my engagement to Lord Otranto will take some time.
Is there anything I can do?
He is Antivan. The only acceptable thing to do would be to challenge him to a duel for my favor.
Every family has scandals. I'll find something to persuade Otranto to break off the match.
Please, Inquisitor, no. If Otranto found out, he'd challenge you to a duel. The traditional form of dueling among Antiva nobles isn't usually fatal, but there's always a chance of harm. I hardly wish to see you skewered on a sword point for the sake of my honor.
If I dueled this Lord Otranto, I could force him to give up his betrothal with you.
But you could be hurt. Dueling is a very precise sport. Men and women spend years perfecting their skills with a rapier. I couldn't bear to think of my family putting you in any further danger. Again.
Tell me again about this Antivan lord your parents engaged you to.
Adorno Ciel Otranto? His family runs several shipping companies in Antiva that do very well. Of the man's temper and disposition and habits, I know nothing. Well, Mother claims he enjoys sailing and dueling, but what Antivan lord doesn't?
You don't favor this marriage, Josephine, do you?
Certainly not. If I hadn't met you, perhaps I'd have been amenable, but honestly, you've no worry.
Does Antiva law force you to marry? Can't you break off the betrothal?
In theory, I very easily could. In reality, if I reject Lord Otranto without proper niceties, it will scar my family's name. Perhaps ignite a feud. Disentangling myself from the engagement will take months. Or years.
While you're worried about your family, what happens to us?
I cannot be with you until the question of this engagement is settled. It is simply not my own reputation. It is my family's. I do not have the right to risk it. As much as I might wish to. Why did this become so dreadfully complicated?
Your worship, may I deliver a message from Lord Adorno Ciel Otranto of Antiva? His lordship accepts your request for a duel for the affection of Lady Montilyet. He awaits your pleasure in Val Royeaux.
Your master had better bring a first-rate healer with him.
The Otrantos do not fear a fair fight, but I will convey your advice. Good day to you.
I am Lord Otranto of Antiva, rightfully betrothed of Lady Josephine Montilyet. Songs of your exploits have spread to my city, Inquisitor. It's humbling to make your acquaintance. It is a pity it will not last longer. Before we duel, I trust you find the weapon to your satisfaction.
Am I not allowed to pick my means of defense?
I am the wounded party in this duel. Tradition dictates that I select our weapons. Of course, if you fear you might be clumsy with such a refined instrument, there is no shame in a forfeit.
Not on your life.
Then let us begin. An admirable start, Inquisitor. Perhaps House Trevelyan isn't the obscure backwater I've heard it to be. I'm glad Lady Montilyet isn't here, exquisite as I've heard her appearance to be. Cutting you down in front of Josephine would have given a poor first impression of House Otranto to my bride.
Strange. I would think the Otrantos already have enough blood on their hands after cheating the Terrazzas.
Who told you? You dare to bring up that slander here? Inquisitor, I will personally...
Stop!
Josephine.
Lady Montilyet, what a pleasure to...
What are you doing?
Josephine, I can't take the chance that you might have to marry him.
That's not your decision. The Inquisition needs you. I need you. Yet you threw yourself into danger. Why do this? Why risk everything we've built? Why risk your life?
Because I love you.
You do?
He does?
Yes, Josephine. I love you so much.
I love you too.
Well fought.
Lord Otranto.
I'd assumed your liaison with the Inquisitor was an affair of passion or convenience, Lady Montilyet. But I'm not fool enough to stand in the way of true affection. The Otrantos regretfully withdraw the terms of our betrothal.
Thank you.
Do not thank me. I know when I'm outmatched.
I'm sorry I didn't tell you about arranging the duel.
Given that you're in one piece, body and dignity, I forgive you. Just do kiss me again. I can't stop thinking about your duel in Val Royeaux. Running into the middle of the crowd, the noise, the swords flashing. I was so worried for you, but at the same time, well, it was the most exciting thing I've seen in ages.
I was worried you'd still be angry that I started the duel in the first place.
I was only worried for your safety. Your position allows for so little of it. You know, when I first laid eyes on you back at Haven, I hadn't an inkling we'd become so close.
Something suggested you were special the moment I saw you.
I'm glad it did. These moments seem so dear, especially given your greater calling. Sometimes I must remind myself that I'm required to share you with the rest of the world.
The world may want my time, Josephine, but you have my heart.
Then I count myself happy, beyond compare. Inquisitor, a moment, if you please. I'm sure you know how to handle most nobility, but the game is nothing like the Free March's intrigues. It is no simple matter of etiquette and protocol. Every word, every gesture is measured and evaluated for weakness.
I'll keep my guard up, don't worry.
The game is like Wicked Grace played to the death. You must never reveal your cards. When you meet the Empress, the eyes of the entire court will be upon you. You are safer in the Fade with the Fear Demon.
You're just full of joy and light this evening.
Everything will be fine. And Raste watch over us all.
Josephine! Oh, Josephine! Is this him?
Inquisitor, please allow me to present to you my younger sister, Yvette Gabriella Montilyet.
Delighted to meet you, Lady Montilyet.
Inquisitor, I've heard so much about you, but not as much as I want. Josephine writes, but she never tells me anything. Is it true? You and Josephine are going to elope and move to the Anderfels and join the Grey Wardens and fight Darkspawn?
Yvette!
I want to know.
I already packed our bags, didn't I, darling?
I knew it!
Inquisitor, please give her no more ammunition. I beg you.
This may be my only chance to hear about when Josephine was a girl.
Oh, yes. As she told you about when she was 10 and...
Yvette, stop.
Fine. What about when we were climbing the cliffs by the...
No.
She once told the Duke of...
Absolutely not.
She still plays with her doll collection when no one's looking.
Yvette, that's absurd. Absolutely preposterous.
Enjoying the ball?
I see many of...
The dancing is so dull, Your Worship. But the Empress's gallery is magnificent.
Yvette.
Sorry, Josie.
Go on, Josephine.
Half Val Royal must be empty. So many of the Empire's finest are in attendance. They've noticed the Empress paying you special attention, but they don't quite know how to take advantage of it yet. This uncertainty won't last long, I'm afraid.
Tell me about yourself, Lady Yvette. This is the first time I've encountered any of Josephine's family.
She would forget to mention the artists. I've been studying painting under Antiva's royal tutors. You should be proud, Josie. I'm going to be exhibiting my work next season in the city's biggest salon.
Have you actually sat down and finished the painting yet?
I must wait for my inspiration.
And I must wait for your tutor's bills.
Which power should the Inquisition throw its weight behind?
Celine has held the throne successfully for years. I see no profit in ousting her. Gaspard has run military campaigns, but never a kingdom. His transition would be, let us say, chaotic.
I'll see you later.
Is everything all right? You look troubled.
I'm just worn out. Tonight has been very long.
It was a tumultuous evening, but Orlais is safe now. It was worth the struggle. Is there anything I can do? Can I get you anything? A drink, perhaps?
Would you care to dance with me, Lady Josephine?
I was hoping you'd ask, my lord. Bracing to be in the thick of the game again. The last time I was at Alam Shiral was Countess Letienne's wedding. There were a dozen affairs, 5 secret alliances, and a duel between 2 chevaliers over the vintage of an Antivan port. But until the Duchess was unmasked, I've never seen the Winter Palace in shock.
No one can say the evening wasn't memorable.
They've already begun composing songs about it in Val Royal, no doubt. The game's become increasingly insular in the past few years. Corypheus skillfully took advantage. It's disturbing so few people in the Orlesian court were aware of the Duchess's machinations.
You'd think the game's greatest players would spot a murderer in their midst.
As I said, insularity. Familiar rivals become the only ones worth sparring with. But let's not lose sight of victory. Your actions at the ball have secured us allies and favors alike.
My favorite moment of the evening is still our waltz in the garden.
I could have danced with you for hours. We must do it again sometime.
There you are. I've been looking all over for you. You're just in time. We almost had to start without you.
We couldn't have that, could we?
Look who showed up, everybody. Deal him in, would you, Ruffles?
I do hope I recall the rules. It's been ages since I've played a game of Wicked Grace.
Grab a seat. We're ready to start.
Are we playing cards or what?
Are 3 drakes better than a pair of swords? Ugh, I can never remember.
Seeker, remember how I said, don't show anyone your hand? That rule includes announcing it to the table.
There's a crown on his head, but a sword too. His head didn't want either.
Don't talk to the face cards, kid.
You seem to have enough people. I have 1,000 things to do.
Losing money can be both relaxing and habit-forming. Give it a try.
Curly, if any man in history ever needed a hobby, it's you.
Dealer starts. Oh, I believe I'll start at... 3 coppers. Do you think that's too daring? Maybe I'll make it 1. No. Boldness. 3 it is.
Seriously, who starts at 3 coppers? Silver or go home?
Sounds good. I'm in. Bolder the better, right? I'm in.
Me too. Well, are you in?
Of course. Deal me in, Josephine.
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad you're joining us.
Ante up, Inquisitor.
The poor recruit ran out into the dining hall in nothing but his knickers. And this profound silence fell over the hall as 70 mages and 30 Templars all turned to stare at once. Then, a slow round of applause began and spread until every soul was on their feet. A standing ovation.
What did he do?
Saluted, turned on his heel, and marched out like he was in full armor.
He did not.
Good man.
You're shitting us.
That's how you know it's true. I could never put that in a book. Too unlikely.
I think it's our professional storyteller's turn to tell one.
I think I can manage that. Did I ever tell you about the time we broke into Chateau Haine? It started, as most capers do, with a trap. And then Hawk looks up and says, "Looks like the Duke has fallen from grace."
That's how Duke Prosper died? You know, that's almost perfect for him. And the dealer takes everything. I win again.
Deal again. I've figured out your tells, Lady Ambassador.
Commander, everyone knows a lady has no tells.
Then let's see if your good fortune lasts one more hand.
I want another chance to win my dignity back. Deal me in.
Don't say a word, dwarf.
I tried to warn you, Curly.
You won the whole pot. I knew you could do it, my love.
I'm leaving. I don't want to witness our commander's walk of shame back to the barracks.
Well, I do.
It comes off. I didn't know it came off.
I'm glad you decided to join us tonight. It's too easy to mistake you for the Inquisitor.
You're mistaking me for me. How much did you have to drink?
It's easy to forget you're not just an icon or symbol. Like those statues of Andraste holding bowls of fire. At least it is for me. You up for another game when this is all over, Inquisitor?
Every time I play, I increase the odds of winding up like Cullen.
You're never more alive than when you're about to lose your pants, my friend.
Who's that? Did I win?
With an Illuvion, Corypheus could cross into the Fade in the flesh.
Indeed. The Inquisitor can attest that these artifacts still work if one knows how to use them.
What happens when Corypheus enters the Fade?
Why, he will gain his heart's desire and take the power of a god. Or, and this is more likely, the lunatic will unleash forces that tear the world apart.
We don't have to worry about this Illuvion if Corypheus isn't alive to use it.
Stopping him thusly would be ideal, if you could manage it.
Pardon me, but does this mean everything's lost unless we get to the Illuvion before him?
Corypheus has a head start, no matter how quickly our army moves.
We should gather our allies before we march.
Can we wait for them? We should send our spies ahead to the Arbor Wilds.
Without support from the soldiers, you'd lose half of them.
Then what should we do?
You overcome it. All three of you together. Josephine, have our allies send scouts to meet us in the wilds. Liliana, your fastest agents will join them. Together, we'll have enough spies to slow down Corypheus' army until Cullen's soldiers arrive.
Such confidence. But the Arbor Wilds are not so kind to visitors. Old elven magic lingers in those woods.
We'd be remiss to not take advantage of your knowledge, Lady Morgan. Please, lend us your expertise.
'Tis why I came here, although it is good to see its value recognized.
Any further instructions, Inquisitor?
Remember what Corypheus has done while you plan. Every loss, every setback, every death. Let him learn what it means to be an enemy of the Inquisition.
We'll hound Corypheus in the wilds before he can find the temple or this Trevelyan.
Trevelyan lies in a temple nearby. No doubt you're departing for it now. Be safe.
Promise me you'll leave the instant the fight comes closer.
I promise. Return once you can.
Did you find what you need, Morrigan?
I can match the Darkspawn Magister's dragon. Yes. As for matching Corypheus, that is up to you, Inquisitor.
I'm eager to try.
Then all that remains is to find Corypheus before he comes to us.
We've been looking for his base since all this began, with no success.
His dragon must come and go from somewhere.
What about the deep roads? We could send word to Orzammar, hire envoys to...
It seems Corypheus is not content to wait.
He's in the Valley of Sacred Ashes.
You either close the breach once more, or it swallows the world.
But that's madness. Wouldn't it kill him as well?
Inquisitor, we have no forces to send with you. We must wait for them to return from the Arbor Wilds.
Then I face him alone.
We must plan for you to fight one last duel, my darling. This time for all of us. Once you find Corypheus, I suppose we must... wait.
I'll be thinking of you every step past Skyhold.
Flattering, but you have my permission to think of your battle. Please be sure to. I hope that you'll...
Maker, I wish you didn't have to go.
You mean the world to me, Josephine Montilyet.
Then return to me safely. I must attend to some tasks before you draw out our enemy. Do go before I begin to cry.
A moment, my lord. My agents have found no trace of Solus. He has simply vanished. If he does not wish to be found, there's likely nothing we can do. But I will keep looking.
It's odd that he would just leave without a word.
You said he was upset about the orb.
That can't be the only reason.
Now that Corypheus has been defeated, we have a moment to stop and celebrate. Afterwards, you will be busy. Every noble in southern Thedas is clamoring to meet you.
As the saying goes, to the victor go the spoils.
They see more than victory. Previously, you were an upstart, nothing more than a leader of rebels and heretics. Until Corypheus revealed himself, they could not see the single hand behind the chaos. Once he did, they knew. A Magister and a Darkspawn in one creature, the ultimate evil. Now you are the only power left standing. Enjoy the evening while you can, Inquisitor.
Ugh, I should never have hired a new caterer so late.
Leave it be, Josie. Everything's fine.
It is not! I'm so sorry. Nothing's quite as it should be. Do you like the drinks? I'm not sure about them.
The drinks are fine. It's been a wonderful evening.
I hope you're not just saying that. You're not, are you? What a disaster. So much was late, the invitations to our guests barely went out at all, and... It was so wonderful to prepare for a small banquet instead of the end of the world. Do you know what everyone is talking about tonight, from commoners to kings? Us. Thedas is discussing the success of the Inquisition.
You played no small part in our rise to power.
You had a role yourself, if I recall correctly. Truly, we will never forget those we lost. But for tonight, to victory.
May I join you?
I wanted to catch you. The celebrations appear to be winding down with the sunrise. I've never witnessed such a lovely sight.
Nor I.
Sometimes your words are so sweet, they ache.
That's love.
That's you. It's been good to have this celebration, free of what the future holds. Whatever awaits us, my lord, I know only one thing. I would never have you face it alone. It's so good to see you, darling. I've been fielding Orlesian diplomats all afternoon.
Have they given you trouble?
Not at all. It is quite alarming. It means they are all saving themselves up for later. Would you walk with me? I should like to take some air before the Exalted Council becomes inescapable. The palace has been most accommodating. We are, after all, here at their insistence. But the ministers may... No. No more talk of the council. This meeting was to spend time with you in a more relaxed fashion.
Is this in your daily notes? 3 to 4 o'clock, idle chat with the Inquisitor.
Of course not. Not precisely. The truth is, there is a small entertainment happening tonight, to which I may be able to find a pair of invitations.
You'd like me to go with you?
Very much so. In all the years you worked with Orlais, you had so little time to enjoy its culture.
Perhaps you're right. These meetings and talks don't allow for much leisure time.
And then back to Skyhold without a moment's pause to take in where we are. Sometimes, I'm afraid I do not make enough time for you, my love. Please, come with me tonight.
And what is this small entertainment?
Something to ease our minds. I would very much like to surprise you with the details.
If it makes you happy, how can I refuse?
Oh, wonderful. I was worried we wouldn't find the time. The past years have been so busy. We have earned at least a few moments of rest.
A calm night out sounds...
Oh, bravo! Bravo!
I've been in battles that were quieter than this.
Oh, yes. What a stupendous voice Lady Brask has. Her D-sharp once shattered an entire conservatory. But tell me, did you enjoy the performance?
The performance pales in comparison to the lovely lady I saw it with.
You are sidestepping the question.
Love leaves my tongue tied.
Well, in that case, I suppose allowances can be made. Your agents confirm there are Gatlock battles in Denerim's palace?
Yes, and in Val Royeaux and across the Free Marches. The Winter Palace is not the only target.
The Canari are one order from destroying every noble house in the known world.
There is a bright side. Warning the ambassadors will remind them of the Inquisition's value.
Not when the Inquisition is responsible for that threat.
I take it you have new information.
The elven servant handling the barrels confessed to working for the Canari.
But the servant was Orlesian. That implicates Orlais, not us.
But the barrels arrived at the Winter Palace on the Inquisition supply manifest.
How are we supposed to fight a war when we can't even trust our own people?
Do you know who got the barrels onto the Inquisition manifest?
Yes, several of the Inquisition's elven workers have gone missing. I had their backgrounds checked. They joined the Inquisition after fleeing the chaos in Kirkwall.
I remember when Kirkwall was at its worst. Many of the city's elves converted to the Qun, trying to find a better life.
And the Canari turned them into spies.
We can't change what happened. Only how we react to it now.
I fought to protect the Inquisition in this exalted council. And for what? So we could deceive and threaten those we claimed to protect?
Once we locate the spies...
This isn't about the spies. You hid the Canari body. You've all but seized control of the Winter Palace.
We did what was right, not what was politically convenient.
Do you know what this has cost us with Orlais and Ferelden? They are planning to dismantle us as we speak. And perhaps they are right.
It's fine. It's under control for now. But we don't have a lot of time. I need to get to the Darvarad.
Thank you, Inquisitor.
Would you like us to inform the Exalted Council of the danger?
Yes. If we fail, the Exalted Council needs to know what happened.
I will inform them personally.
Leliana, I can...
No, your job is hard enough already. This is my responsibility.
I'll have guards ready at the Alluvion, in case the Canari attack the palace.
Make her watch over you.
Something must be done, but we cannot lose the Inquisition now. We stand on the brink of war with the Canari.
Yes, because this Solas provoked them in the first place.
The Inquisition did not cause this threat. We informed the Summit of the danger.
The danger posed by Canari spies inside your organization.
Without our organization, none of us would be here to complain.
No one has forgotten what you have done. But Corypheus is 2 years dead.
If the Inquisition is to continue, it must do so as a legitimate organization, not a glorified mercenary band.
Inquisitor.
You all know what this is. A writ from Divine Justinia authorizing the formation of the Inquisition. We pledge to close the breach, find those responsible, and restore order, with or without anyone's approval. We have fulfilled that pledge. And now the war is over, for most of us. It is time for our soldiers to sheathe their swords and go home. To all who served, thank you. It has been an honor. Effective immediately, the Inquisition is disbanded.